Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do start, let's give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a number of things happen. We had Deku. Deku, he refused to be on Mr. Stark's side, and for the last 3 months, since the day he was asked to reveal his identity, he has been working against him. For two of them. For 2 months, he's been on the run with Captain America and the Secret Avengers, trying to save people and solve crime outside of the law as a vigilante. Now, that means a number of things. Tony Stark, he is the current leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. Maria Hill and him are both trying to crack down on vigilantes. The law has decided superheroes need to be regulated, held accountable, and monitored. And right now, the new age, it's definitely begun to change, especially after more time has passed. The superheroes are trying to do their best to resist the law, Captain America especially. However, Deku, he was made angry whenever, over the course of time, he found out something. Now, 4 months have passed since Goliath has died. In this amount of time, the Secret Avengers have learned much, and even Deku, he learned a lot. He currently wants to go see Mr. Stark for a number of reasons. Right now, though, he's heard about a lot. Apparently, there are Atlanteans on the surface, and that's just confusing. He doesn't understand why they're here, but apparently they are. And then there's also the fact that there's some drug to increase superpowers, and yeah, that's a whole different story. Now, Shield, they've made themselves more militaristic, and while they might have changed the rule of law regarding superheroes, they've definitely gotten a lot more heavy-handed when it comes to New York, and civilians themselves have started to notice things. Now, for anyone who is here and they understand the Injustice timeline, Tony Stark basically made the regime. Enough said. Now, currently heroes are in prison 42, and Mr. Stark, he has a transport fresh and ready with some young superheroes to head right to prison. Now, we do currently have a young couple, which is walking down the street of Manhattan, and the two, they're somewhat stumbling and talking about it. As right now for Deku and, well, let's just say, Jessica, do stumble their way downtown, a few people do go to notice this. And right now there actually is where Deku and her, they do go to walk into an alleyway. And someone, they actually did go to some turn. There are some drunks walking around. And apparently, from what they can tell, male and female and in an alleyway, yeah, this is just going to be his whole night, isn't it? Okay, so the person's going to walk over. And they do going to turn their head. As currently there is Deku, he doesn't actually turn to the person. Him sitting there with his jacket off. And apparently his shirt. Hey, officer. How you doing? Where's your friend? Oh, her. She's right behind you. The cop gonna turn. And right now Deku does throw out his hand. Going to shoot his organic web. I'm gonna pull the person directly in. Before he does it, bring up his hand and smash him across the face. As right now the two, they do to talk about it. Okay, so that was the second cop, right? It was, yeah, but you sure this is gonna be a good idea? Are you? You really want to go talk to Mr. Stark right now? I do. I got some stuff to say to him, and I'm sure hearing it from me will definitely help him out. You can't be serious, right? Jessica, I am. They could bring his hand up. I'm going to actually kiss Jessica. He goes to tell her. He'll make sure he doesn't die, but Mr. Stark would rather put him in prison and unmask him than kill him. So, he can tell her this. Right now he's too valuable to be killed. He's still one of the only superheroes who's young and experienced enough to, if he's unmasked and complies, people will rally behind him. If he is defiant, then that does mean the other heroes will be defiant as well. Mr. Stark wants his compliance for a whole list of reasons. And Deku is trying to make that known to her. And right now, Jessica, she doesn't understand. As Deku, he was going to bring his hand down into his pocket. Hey, I'm going to pull out his mask and going to put it on. As right now, he actually does go to slip on his Spiderman shirt or suit. Him going to zip it together, as right now, Deku, he does get to stick it to his skin. And currently, he does get to get ready. I'm going to swing away. As right now, we do actually have it at the Avengers Tower. Tony Stark is trying to talk to Reed Richards, and he's gotten a few answers. The clone of Thor that's a cyborg, it went AWOL. It defied certain things. It was programmed to take down and capture, but those parameters were by any means necessary. And we all kind of know what that does mean. It's like an AI that you program to build a road. If there is an anthill or a house in the way, it'll demolish it without even a second thought to build the road. It's that simple. If someone dies, they died. That's not the problem. It was just focused on its one objective by any means necessary. Goliath was in the way, and, well, he got turned to roadkill. So there's that. Now, that's the best and bluntest way to explain that. If it sounded heartless, I understand. Now, Izuku, he currently does sit there and wait for Tony Stark. He plugs something into the computer, and that does mean that they have a back door into Mr. Stark's network. So, hopefully that does give them something. And Tony, he currently does a walk out and into the Avengers mansion. Or, not mansion, Avengers Tower. As right now, Tony Stark, he does get to walk around. Him going to take a seat, as he does try to think about what to do. He knows that their current objectives, capturing the heroes and putting Cap in prison, it's definitely something. But there's a number of things wrong. They still need to find Speedball. The trial has been put off, and it's not good. But there's also that supervillain. Shit. Okay, so how to handle this? Atlanteans on the surface, the villain's still on the run, and the trial. This is just confusing him a lot. Right now, he needs a drink. No. He can't. Okay. He needs to busy his mind. Deku actually gonna drop down from the ceiling, and Tony does look up. Him seeing Spider-Man. Hey, kid. Hi, Mr. Stark. Tony is fine. No, it isn't. You are working with supervillains? Kid, don't be mad. I'm very mad. For a number of reasons, Mr. Stark. I thought helping you, talking to you, getting you to be less of an alcoholic would be helpful. I don't drink anymore. I don't care. What you've done, Mr. Stark. I can't believe it. Throwing people in prison? Seriously? Kid, give me one reason exactly as to why I shouldn't call in a SHIELD team. Because if you do, I'll fry this entire building. I could also kill you. Kid, we both know that you won't kill me. How are you sure about that? I'm not. Then why do you think I won't? Because I'm such a good person? I always take the moral high road? Mr. Stark, you have blood on your hands. People's blood. Not just heroes. You understand what you're doing. I know you're smart enough to understand that. I looked up to you at one point. And now, what do I see? I just see a goddamn failure. Now, Iron Man just stared at Deku before he finally decided someone to jump up and tell him, really, his failures. You mean like his failure to save his father? His failure to save his girlfriend? What was her name, right? Himiko Toga? That's right. He knows exactly what her name is. Izuku. You wouldn't. Izuku, I know who you are. I know how important your identity is to you. Your mother, your clones. I have been working for me, you know that? You're holding the cure hostage. Smart. Not hostage, just as an incentive. He gets pills, and so does Julia. How is your relationship with her, anyways? You know, I do listen sometimes, and I also like to understand more. She told you about that. About you kissing your clone? Gotta say, that's pretty weird, man. Like kissing your sister, right? You're insane. I'm not insane, Izuku. I just know what I need to do. And the fact that you're not trying to comply or help me tells me you've lost it. I've lost it. Mr. Stark, do you even hear yourself? You're putting kids in prison because they don't comply with the law. Kid, they're gonna do more harm than good. How? You're doing more harm by trying to put them in prison. Mr. Stark, you're ripping children away from their families. And besides, if you can't see that you've just become a dictator, then I shouldn't have even come here. Now, Tony does it to tell Deku. Huh. Ain't that a funny way to look at it? As right now there is where a team does it actually come running out through the elevator. And Deku, he does get to turn his head and see the current team. As right now, S.H.I.E.L.D., they do go to stand there. And Iron Man does get to tell them to stand down. Him going to bring his hand down. Him going to press onto a button. As right now under the desk, there is where a suit of armor, it does going to rise from under the ground. And Tony does actually go to stand up. As the chair, part of it does actually go to somewhat mold onto Tony Stark. Him going to stand and walk forwards around the desk. As an Iron Man suit fully goes to cover him. So, you really came here to fight me, kid? Fight you? Yeah. How about I knock some sense into you, metalhead? Now, there is a turn. I'm going to blast out cartridges of webs. As right now, whenever someone does it to bring their hand up, they do to fire a gun. As right now, the cartridges, they both go to explode. And Deku, he actually has a turn back to Tony Stark. The man watching as, essentially, Deku created a wall in between the elevator and the two. So that does mean Deku only has one real way out of this. And currently Mr. Stark is going to bring up his hands. I'm going to blast those repulsors as Deku is going to dodge them. Him going to move out of the way as he's going rushing forwards. And Mr. Stark is trying to calibrate them. Deku is agile. He's fast. And that's well apparent. Deku bringing his hand up, smashing his fist directly into the Iron Man armor. Him going to throw up his hand and grab at the faceplate. I'm going to tear off the faceplate, as right now Deku, he's going to throw out his hand, grabbing into Iron Man and then going to throw him down into the ground. As Deku is then going to turn, him running over and smashing Iron Man directly into the bulletproof glass. Him going to pull him forwards and going to smash him out again. As right now Tony Stark, he's hit across that glass 3 times before it finally is going to shatter and break. Before Deku does it pull up his hand, grabbing at the arc reactor and going to rip it directly from the suit of armor. And Tony Stark, he was just stare on, amazed. As Deku, he is actually then going to turn, throwing Iron Man down as he goes to drag himself against the floor. Him smashing into the web as Deku is going to walk over. You know, Mr. Stark, I hold back a lot. You'd be surprised. Deku bring his hand down, grabbing onto the chest piece, we're going to rip it off. Him going to at least turn and throw it down to the side, before going to bend down. Him going to grab onto the metal piece on Iron Man's neck. Him beginning to crush it as he goes to separate it. Him doing so with ease. Mr. Stark needs to be aware. If he wanted to kill him, he would. He would make threats, but they wouldn't be empty. He wants Iron Man to understand. He's leaving him alive. He's leaving him here, like this, so he can remember. 10 seconds was all it took for Spider-Man to tear him apart. And he needs to understand. If they wanted to play Iron Man's games, they'd lose. They might have the numbers, but they have the heart. And that does say everything, doesn't it, Mr. Stark? Deku going to turn. Him going to run, as right now a team does go rushing into the room. Them burning through the webs as Deku blasts Starky through the bulletproof glass, and then goes to fly down. As right now Iron Man, he does actually try and climb out of his armor. Him more surprised. However, there's one problem. He goes to look around, and the arc reactor isn't here. And that makes Iron Man panic. Deku just stole an arc reactor. And that can be disastrous. And currently Deku, he does go flying down. Him doing so fast. However, we currently do have a few people who are here to intercept. Izuku is currently heading down towards the ground, and he's making his way there fast. He already has an escape route planned. He planned this out for a week, and he already has variables, well, put in place in case anything unpredicted happens. And right now, Deku, he actually does go look down towards the glass. Him going to feel his spider sense go off. Him going to look above to see that there's nothing chasing him. Before, he actually has looked back down. As Deku, he does see the lizard. And right now, Deku, he is going to throw out his hand. Him going to shoot out a web and pull himself in faster. As the lizard is currently rushing up the side of the building. And Deku, he actually going to throw out his hands, smashing directly into the lizard as the two to go barreling down fast. Deku smashing him down into a crater before actually going to stand back up. I'm going to look over the doctor, who currently is trying to recover from the amount of force Deku just threw into him. If he's right, that had the full force of a good solid, right jab. And it reminds him a lot about throwing himself off a building. You know, he definitely does have some issues. Him looking at the lizard. Before the lizard is going to open his eyes. And Deku does a jump backwards. As currently someone, they do come flying around on a glider. And Deku does a turn and see them. However, there's an orange glow coming from them. And Deku, he's not amused. Because apparently the Green Goblin has a fan. Ain't that right, Jack? Now, Jack-o'-lantern and the lizard. The two do currently stand here. And Deku, he has a timer going in his head. He's going to take care of this real quick. However, the lizard, he's definitely gotten bigger. What was it, a growth spurt? Another cure attempt? Or what? What exactly did the doctor do this time? And right now the lizard does go rushing forwards. As Deku, he does throw up his hand, shooting a web directly up into his head. I'm going to rush forwards as the lizard does throw out his hand. Deku going to actually grab it by his wrist and going to throw up his right hand, smashing it upwards into the lizard's right arm. Before Deku is going to turn back, I'm going to smash the lizard directly in the ribs before going to bring his hands up. Him grabbing towards his head. I'm going to smash both of his fists into the side of his skull. And the lizard currently is disoriented. And there actually is Jack. Jack does going to watch Deku. He throws the lizard directly into the building. I'm going to turn and smash him into the wall before he actually has a turn and go to throw him. Him going to smash down onto the ground. And right now, Jack is going to throw out his hand with a bomb. And Izuku, he is definitely not amused. Him going to actually bring his hand up. Him going to web up the bomb and then going to turn and throw it upwards into the air. As currently there is where Jack, he doesn't dodge out of the way of the explosion. Him noticing that Spider-Man is a lot less restrained. Deku going to walk over. Him going to actually grab down towards the lizard's tail and going to turn. Him going to actually swing him around, smashing him down to the ground, bring him over into the air and smash him again. And then Deku does a turn. Him beginning to swing the lizard around. And right now there actually is the lizard, who does do one simple thing. He disconnects his tail, and he is sent flying into the distance. Him currently going to smash into something very hard, and later turn to recover, as Deku's a turn to look back towards Jack. And Jack is going to talk about it. You know, he really should run, because She-Hulk's on the way. Thanks for the warning, Jack. Deku going to bring out his web shooter, and blast out a web, and Jack is going to dodge. As Deku, he does at least set the timer in his head. Go down to 30 seconds. So, 30 seconds to get to the sewer and leave. Evacuate. Disguise himself. Right, that's good. Deku going to turn and run. Him going to pull up a manhole with his bare hand, and I'm going to jump down. I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to crawl along the top of the sewers. Okay, let's see. He's outside the Avengers Tower. He has a map of the city in his head, and... Okay. Straight for a mile. Turn right. And then head there for half a mile. Then... Oh god, okay. He just needs to make sure to keep moving. That's what he's got to do. Right now, that on Deku's mind, as currently there actually is Jack, who he jumped down into the sewers, and he decided to give chase to Deku. This will definitely be something interesting, because right now somebody else, they go to help Jack. He does do one thing. He continues to crawl along the sewer, and he does make it a pretty decent amount. However, there's one problem. Deku, he goes to feel something wrap around his leg, and currently he does look back to see... Oh no. Deku currently being pulled and smashing directly to the right, him being hit into the wall, as Venom, it does going to sneak its way directly to the left, smashing Deku 5 times into the concrete. As Deku, he actually is then pulled, and he does get to hang there. Him directly in front of Venom, and Jack. As Deku, he does get to sit there, staring on at the two. Hi, Venom. Hi, Spider-Man. So, funny running into you here. Any chance you'll let me go? Venom going to turn, smashing Deku out into the wall. And Deku someone just gets stuck there by Venom. And Izuku does get to slightly wheeze out. Is that a no? You did this to me. Deku going to look up and see Venom. As currently, Jack does not talk about it. I'm going to step forwards. Yeah, he really doesn't care. However, he does hope that Spider-Man does enjoy this. I'm going to toss out a bomb. And Deku, he actually is going to look down at it, as his spider sense doesn't go off. And Izuku, he doesn't hold his breath. Him attempting to try and move his wrist to get ready. Deku going to press down onto his rib shooter, as Deku does going to send out a taser bomb directly into Venom's hand, or directly into Venom. Since Venom is covering in Deku's entire torso and his hands. Now, Izuku pressed down, and the taser was shot out. Venom going to recoil in pain, as right now the host, he doesn't actually drop down onto the ground. Him feeling the pain as Venom does going to tear away at him. Now, right now the host is trying to reconstruct Venom around his body, and Deku is going to get a good look at the man. Him going to stare at him for a second before he does going to turn and run. As Deku, he does at least try to exhale the gas. He is not too sure what's inside of it, but being down here in the sewer, the gas will spread fast. But there's also Venom, a confined space and he can't sense him. Not good. Spider-Man, where are you? Ran into a situation here. Venom, Jack-o'-lantern. I've been hit by gas. Change of plans. I need to improvise. You're bad at improvising. I know, shut up. Deku going to find a manhole. I'm going to jump up and directly through it. Him, right now, smashing onto the street, as he's going to turn. Going to whip up the manhole cover, and then going to look around and see... Oh, come on! Right now, a ton of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents sitting in the road. And they do see Spider-Man. Many of them were going on patrol. And a superhero just jumped out of the sewer. Tuesday already? Now, with that being said, Deku, he actually is going to bring his hands up, as currently he is going to try and inform everyone. they really should be careful. They don't really know what he can do. He'll tell them all right now. Just drop the guns, and this will be a lot less painful for everybody involved. And a few people just start to laugh. It's just Spider-Man. What can he do? They've got guns and flamethrowers, so his webs are useless. They've got enough weaponry to take down anyone. So, what does Spider-Man plan to do? And Deku, he actually had a turn. Him started to blast out his webs as he does at least try to dodge. And Deku, he does so very fine right now. He dodges bullets and what look to be laser beams. And Deku, he is going to throw himself over somebody as they try to hit him with a flamethrower. Him feeling the flames that singe into the back of his costume as he brought his hands up and just went to go shoot webs into his back. Him going to cover himself. Right now, Deku, his costume is being broken quickly. And he needs to web himself up to reduce electric damage and even ballistic damage. So, currently Deku, he has a dodge. Him actually feeling something shoot directly across the side of his head. And Deku, he's starting to understand that he isn't dodging fast enough. As right now he does going to get zapped by something directly in the front. I'm actually going to fall forwards and go to throw his hands down. As Deku, he does this won't shake. As three shield agents do to bring up their weapons and blast Deku as he's being hit by all sides. Deku being electrocuted. And currently Spider-Man does sit there on his hands and knees. As Deku, he does go to fall silent. And the agents, they go to get ready. As someone, they do to step forwards to try and attack Spider-Man. Before, a gunshot is heard. And people just do start to look around. Before, grenades are then thrown in. And then the agents, they do start to disperse. Deku just won't sit there on his hands and knees. And right now, his body feels like it's been fried. His skin doesn't feel right. And Izuku, he actually does get to hear a voice, along with an explosion. And then he does get to actually look up to see gas. His vision is hazy. It's definitely not good. And right now Izuku, he goes to bring his hand up to try and grab onto the person as he does see a symbol. And currently the person, they brought their hand out and grabbed onto Izuku. As whenever the villains, they started to make their way back to the surface, Frank Castle reached down to his belt. And he pulled something out. Before actually going to turn and toss it out. Him going to actually pick up Spider-Man and then going to turn and run. As right now, Frank Castle goes to escape. Now, Izuku, he remembered hearing a voice. And then he saw the skull. But that's all he remembered. That's all he remembered seeing. As currently we do actually have back with Jessica Drew. She's still worried and concerned. They made it well apparent that they were trying to chase down Spider-Man tonight. And she got concerned. Izuku stopped checking in. He encountered Venom and Jack, and that got her scared. Venom is definitely a strange opponent, immune to their spider sense. That's what makes him so dangerous. But then there's also the fact that he can take over a body, a hostile takeover, and almost like a possession. But if your will is strong enough to fight, you can feasibly take him down. I mean, not well with power, but mentally. It's just a challenge, and she's getting concerned. He'll be back and he'll be okay. Venom didn't hurt him. Venom didn't kill him. Venom didn't. Now, a ton of people do get a turn. And currently Frank Castle, he does gonna walk into their base. I'm gonna shout out, "He needs a medic! Now!" As everyone, they go to someone see Frank. And Deku, he is taken away from the man. And Frank Castle just won't gonna stand there. As currently Jessica walks up yelling at Frank Castle about exactly what the hell he might have done to her boyfriend. And currently Frank has a turn to her, talking about how he found the kid on the street. He's lucky he was passing by. He was trying to cross-reference and check to see whether one of his targets was wearing a uniform. And luckily, he found out they were. He took care of that, and then he picked up their friend. Hell, the kid's innocent in all this. He's actually at the bottom of his list, and that says quite a bit. The kid breaks the law, but whenever you know it's a shitty law, then really, what can you do? Especially right now. Fact is, he wants in. He wants to help Captain America. And right now, Steve Rogers, he does going to get a few looks from a lot of people, as he doesn't want to sit there and try to think. Frank Castle, he hates villains, and Tony Stark is employing murderers to work with him. So Frank Castle could definitely be a help, but a risk as well. He's not a hero. He's a killer. He's definitely a bad option, but right now they need all the help they can get. With Prison 42 and the convoy going to head out lately, then okay, no, Spider-Man needs to be back in fighting condition. Okay, so the X-Men, didn't they have some guy that they can help? They're trying to stay neutral, and god damn it, if that kid lost his powers and they try to ask for help, it's going to cause more problems. I mean, Tony can tap the phones, can look at the networks, find out who goes in and out of that mansion. Shit. Now, we do actually have Izuku. Izuku was taken to medical, and after he was sat down, the doctors examined him. There wasn't really too much they can do about his injuries. However, there was what they could do about the broken ribs. And Deku, he just went laid there, before he did return to the land of the living again. And Jessica, she tried to ask him if he was okay. Ow. Am I alive? You are. Yeah. So, what happened? My memory gets hazy after the sewer. My head hurts. You kind of ran into S.H.I.E.L.D. A lot of them. Right. Note to self. Smoke grenades. Smoke grenade webs? Maybe actual smoke grenades. Web grenades? I ran out of those. Right. Are you doing okay? I just woke up. I'm in a lot of pain, and I don't really know how to answer the question. Exert yourself a lot, huh? Yeah. What time is it, Jessica? It's 1 in the morning. You've been out for 3 hours. You you got away pretty good, but I'm actually shocked. They have control of Venom? Yeah. They do. So what now? I don't know. Venom is definitely a bad guy, but I'm more worried about Norman Osborn. You are? Yeah. Suffice it to say, if Mr. Osborn gets out there, the Green Goblin, I don't want to imagine what he could do. I also don't want to know what I'd do. You okay? No. Um, Not really. Norman Osborn is a threat. Taking him down is a priority. But how'd I get back here? Frank Castle got you. I'm sorry, Frank Castle? Isn't that guy the Punisher? Yeah, he stepped in to save your life. Damn. Right? Which means we have an ally. We're working with him? Sadly, yes. Shit. Okay. But what are we gonna do next? Well, next we need to go get a convoy. Try and save some superheroes who are going to be taken to 42. Prison 42? Yep. We need information on it too. Actually, we can get that. We can? I put something into Stark's computer. He might not notice it right away, but it gives us time. If Jarvis hasn't already sectioned off the network, then we have a backdoor into his network. Did I ever tell you how much I love that brain of yours? You have, but most importantly, I think I need a drink. You see, now that I can do. I'll be right back. Deku's just going to lay there. And right now Jessica does go stand up and walk away. And Deku, he does have a few things go through his head. He needs to look into it a lot. He needs to find out about a lot. There's something about all this that he doesn't like. Atlanteans, superheroes fighting, and, well, there's something wrong. He doesn't understand. There's something going on. People are being evasive about it, but Tony Stark is definitely involved somehow. And that does say almost a lot about it. The man has countless pockets. I mean, bottomless pockets even. Hell, he has so much money and power in the world, he can do a lot. So why become the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Why gain more power and have more influence? Tony Stark was a raging alcoholic 2 years ago, and now he's the head of a secret government organization. Something about those two sentences don't add up. Something about the whole thing doesn't add up. And Deku? He does still sit there. Him stewing in his own thoughts, trying to go through them over and over and over again. He needs to find the odd man out, figure out what that is, isolate it, and search there. Captain America and a ton of other people are already on the search, so he might have to talk to them and learn more, find out what they know, possibly help point them in the right direction. Now, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.